for bugs.
Sex, because if you seek sex, you will become gay, because sex is a gay act. It's totally gay. The straightest thing you could do is to never have sex. And everyone knows that's true. Want to know why? Because you retain your semen and you sublimate your sexual desire to creating things. That's why celibacy is the straightest thing. Because who are the celibates? Monks? Priests? Soldiers? Okay? Great scientists, philosophers, geniuses.
Hey everybody. Welcome to another shit show that is Snow Himbo Streams. I'm of course your host, Snow Himbo, and it is November 28th, 2024. I hope everybody is having an absolutely beautiful week. It's almost over, y'all. I promise. So, what's going on in the land of Snow Himbo? First and foremost, oh, y'all standing on business today. I like this. So, gosh, what's new? That cute little tuxedo cat has been going crazy. She reached that age and she's a female cat, I'll put it that way. So she's been a little nuts, if you get my drift. So tomorrow we are taking her in to get a procedure to stop that. I'll put it that way. God, lots been going on, y'all. We got a pretty jam-packed show. I got some interesting angles, and I did a lot of research for this one because of all the crazy developments going on in the world. I think we need to keep things into context, and I think we need to ensure that we are looking at everything through the globes that are the most representative of the truth. Sorry, I just realized that sentence was very like Kamala Harris. I promise I'm not. I am unburdened from what has been. Thankfully, she is as well. To all my American watchers, happy Turkey Day. They're eating the turkeys. Hope y'all are having a great day. Hope you had a good feast. I hope it didn't cost $1 million, because I know how tough it is at the grocery store, trust me. I don't know about y'all, but every time I go to the grocery store now, there's like an anxiety when you get to the checkout lane. Because it used to be like, wow, that only costs $100. Now it's like, fuck, is this gonna cost like $100 even though I have like 4 things? You know, I'm up here in Canada, but it's the same shit. It's the same shit all across the West, such as the doomed existence we have living under late-stage capitalism, progressing very rapidly into fascism, which we will get to soon enough. I got a fun weekend up ahead, though. I'm gonna do a bunch of household stuff. Gonna get some gaming in, and a trick I learned with gardening, but with root vegetables like beets or turnips or something, you can actually pull them super late. So we just got our first snow. It was really light tonight, actually. So I'm actually gonna pull our beets tomorrow. Hey Rick. Wait till we get tariff turkeys. Fuck me. I'm gonna get a turkey. That will be $5 million. Thank you, Orange Man. I'm so happy we all voted you into office after you promised to lower the grocery prices. Fuck me. Techno-fascism, absolutely correct. That is 100% where we're headed down. Golden Monarch, like myself, is a Whitney Webb enjoyer. But I mean, there's a lot of great voices out there sounding the alarm on the Orange Man Psyop. And we got a lot of that tonight too, don't you worry. That piece of shit isn't even in office, and I already got all the receipts for how the next 4 years are gonna go. So, don't you worry. We're going to get right the fuck into it. But first, I got something crazy to show y'all. Something absolutely nutty for our first segment tonight. This week in dystopia. So, I'm sure everybody here remembers Pokemon Go, right? We all remember Pokemon Go. I'm a special kind of nerdy gamer human. I was a huge fan of the first product of Niantic, which is a game called Ingress, which was kind of sci-fi, like conspiracy sort of thing. But it had the same concept. You ran around, you used your phone, you kind of checked out stuff. You went to different like nodes. But yeah. Turns out Pokemon Go, which looking in hindsight, this might not be a surprise really, but it was kind of a bit of a fucking psyop. Which we kind of understood because I'm sure y'all remember the Pokemon Go era too, but like time stood still for that game. Everybody just like hopped on board Pokemon Go, and then for a little bit, all anyone did was play that game. I remember my girlfriend at the time dragged me all the way across everywhere because she had to go catch all the Pokemon, and it seemed like everybody and their dog was playing the game at the exact same time. Well, turns out there's more to the story than just your average, hey, let's get everybody to play a mobile game. It'll be fun. I know. Probably shocking to absolutely fucking nobody. So this is Brian Lunduke, and don't worry, he does provide receipts for this. But we're gonna watch a little video here.
Pokemon Go is using your phone's camera to build a CIA-backed 3D map artificial intelligence engine. If that's not a load of buzzwords from the most ridiculous plot of the most ridiculous spy thriller movie ever, I don't know what is. If we saw that as the plot synopsis of a new Mission Impossible movie, every single nerd around the world would rightly say that's ridiculous. A 3D-backed, a CIA-backed 3D map artificial intelligence engine, that sounds nuts. That sounds crazy. That sounds like a weird conspiracy theory fever dream. But it's actually a real thing, and it's really, really happening, and I kind of told everyone that it was happening back in 2016. And I'm not even joking on this. They are bragging about it. Niantic Labs, the company behind Pokemon Go, has released a new blog post on November 12th, just 1 week ago, bragging about how they are collecting millions and millions and millions of photos from everyone playing it in order to create this 3D AI system that sounds like a dystopian nightmare. Just to give you a little background on this. Back in 2016, when Pokemon Go was really taking off, back in those early naive days of smartphoning,
And right you are, where is it? Pokemon Go to the polls. Even Hillary Clinton talked about it, for fuck's sake. In Niantic, that's the company that made Pokemon Go and also made Ingress, if anybody fucked with Ingress back in the day.
I wrote an article talking about the connections between Pokemon Go, the NSA, and the CIA, and I pointed out to everybody that Pokemon Go really existed because of a direct investment by the CIA. Yes, the CIA. They have a venture capital firm called InQtel at the CIA.
This is all very surprising.
It's a venture firm. They invest in tech companies that would be good for the CIA or the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency or any of the various other three-letter acronym agencies in the United States. This is what this company does. And they invested in the company that would eventually become Niantic. And they saw some good results from that over the years, and I pointed out to everybody at the time the ridiculous amount of data that Pokemon Go has on people. And just to give you a slight list of the data that they get from all of the players of Pokemon Go, I want to point this out. I'm just going to read this bullet list to you real quick because it's a massive amount of data. They know because you're holding the smartphone in front of you with the camera pointed at your face and a camera pointed out with a GPS chip and an active internet connection off of various cell phone sites. With all that information, they know where you are when you're playing this, where you were, what route you took between those locations, when you were at each locations and therefore your travel speed, how long it took you to get between them, what you are looking at right now, what you were looking at in the past, and what you look like during that entire process, among a ton of other bits of information. Now you combine all of that together and you can do some pretty amazing things. Now, shortly after I published that article, I went on a TV show, multiple radio shows to talk about this exact topic. And I got laughed at a lot because, oh my gosh, Lunduke is a crazy conspiracy wacko. He's thinking they're gonna use Pokemon Go for some.
Now, I don't know this guy's political affiliation, but I'd just like to say, this is basically what it's like to be on the far left every fucking day of your life. It's the same cycle every single time. You speak out about something, everybody calls you a tinfoil conspiracy nut job. And then about 6 months later, everybody's like, holy shit, how did you call that? That's just life. You're the canary in the coal mine. They try and shoot you down. And then later on, you're vindicated. But the problem, the reason why it sucks so bad, is because you're never vindicated in time. You're always vindicated when, like, the hellfire is raining down. Not when you're initially calling out, like, hey, that volcano's about to explode. Anyway, I digress.
Some crazy, weird, totally unbelievable Mission Impossible plot, right? That was the criticism I got. So, but I'm like, no, guys, just think about this for a second. And people, oh, no. Lunduke, you're being a wacko again. Well, then the next year, after that article came out in 2017, WikiLeaks published something called Vault 7, which was a series of documents that was purported to be a large leak of CIA-related information, and it focused heavily on electronic surveillance issues, where projects, descriptions, code names of hacking projects, all sorts of stuff. And here's the crazy thing about that leak that came out of the CIA. Almost a full third, roughly 30% of all of the code names for all of the projects in the CIA that dealt with hacking or electronic surveillance or using Android devices in weird, creepy ways, the code names were named after Pokemon. No, I'm just saying it's really strange that the CIA literally invested in a company that made a Pokemon game, and around half of their code names for electronic surveillance projects were all the names of Pokemon. It was weird. It's weird. It's really weird, right? And I also want to point this out. The guy that was responsible for that investment that ultimately led to Niantic Labs and Pokemon Go is a man named Gilman Louie. He was the CEO of In-Q-Tel, that investment arm of the CIA. And for his work, investing in what became the Pokemon Go company, Gilman Louie received several awards, including the CIA Agency SEAL Medallion, I think he got 2 of those, the Director's Award by the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and a Director of National Intelligence Medallion. So the CIA was like, this is the best thing ever for us. The CIA was so psyched about what Niantic Labs and Pokemon Go was doing that they're just like, Mr. Gilman Louie, who was responsible for this, we're just going to give you this award and this medallion and this bronze whatever and this golden thing. And they just showered him with crazy amounts of things. And then I went on TV shows to talk about it. Now here we are. Just a couple years later. It's 2024. I had to look at the calendar for that. So 8 years after I published that original article, and Niantic Labs over at nianticlabs.com published an article entitled Building a Large Geospatial Model to Achieve Spatial Intelligence. Quote, at Niantic, we are pioneering the concept of a large geospatial model that will use large-scale machine learning to understand a scene and connect it to millions of other scenes globally. So, large geospatial model, LGM, not large language model, LLM, right? You get the idea. It's AI, but for 3D spaces. Global 3D spaces. As part of Niantic's Visual Positioning System, VPS, we have trained more than 50 million neural networks with more than 150 trillion parameters, enabling operation in over 1 million locations. The large geospatial model, LGM, will enable computers not only to perceive and understand physical spaces, but also interact with...
Listen, Witchy. The only Nordic magic here is me.
them in new ways, forming a critical component of augmented reality glasses and fields beyond, including robotics, content creation, and autonomous systems. As we move from phones to wearable technology linked to the real world, spatial intelligence will become the world's future operating system. The large geospatial models will help computers perceive, comprehend, and navigate the physical world in a way that will seem equally advanced to the large language models. It is crazy. I want to go scroll down here because I want to read a few more of these quotes because the things they admit to me are mind-boggling. It's like Dr. Evil sitting in his volcano lair and he's like, I just put lasers on friggin' sharks. I'm gonna hop on YouTube and tell people I put friggin' lasers on friggin' sharks, right?
Because this is the hubris of the bourgeoisie. This is the hubris of the capitalist class. This is what is going to be their downfall, just like it always has been before. But I hate to say it, y'all, at this point, yeah, they're just bragging about it openly. It's not just that, though. This is also a threat. This is also that very same group of rich and powerful human beings saying, hey, we can track you. We have a whole map now thanks to you idiots running around catching Pokemon. And you know we're making robots and we got a bunch of drones, so don't get any wise ideas. There's always a brag to it.
It's like, wait a minute, you're admitting, you're bragging about the evil plan. Here we go. Quote, A geospatial model implements a form of geospatial intelligence where the model learns from its previous observations and is able to transfer knowledge to new locations even if those are observed only partially.
Ingress was the beta test. I know that in hindsight now. That was the original sin. That was their like play up for the big Psyop. Because obviously something like Ingress wasn't going to like blow up. They needed a big label. And what's a bigger label than Pokemon? Of course that was going to blow up.
Right? So it can kind of make up assumptions based on the massive amount of data it has about, say, how rooms and buildings are laid out and what might be behind the dumpster in the alleyway, these sorts of things, right? Over the past 5 years, here's the key part. Here's the part where they admit to spying on everybody. Over the past 5 years, Niantic has focused on building our visual positioning system, VPS, which uses a single image from a photo to determine its position and orientation using a 3D map built from people scanning interesting locations in our games. That's right. What games are they talking about? Pokemon Go. With VPS, users can position themselves in the world with centimeter level accuracy. What can you do with centimeter level accuracy? You can do a lot of things that are terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Niantic has built the visual positioning system, VPS. VPS is built from user scans taken from different perspectives and at various times of day, at many times during the years, and with positioning information attached, creating a highly detailed understanding of the world. This data is unique because it is taken from a pedestrian perspective and includes places inaccessible to cars. So people walking around with their cell phone held in front of them, pointed out, looking at things, and constantly sending pictures, GPS data, speed data, time of day, all of it, telemetry information back to Niantic at all times. This is what I've been telling people. This is exactly what they're doing. And they're going to use that data that they're gaining from you. And so many people are like, no. There are really good privacy controls on smartphones. And there's no way, no how that Niantic is bypassing these security controls on smartphones. Are you kidding me here? Are you friggin' kidding me, people? They're bragging about it now. Now, here's the thing. Here's a heat map of all the places where they have massive amounts of data about you. Today, quote, we have 10 million scanned locations around the world, and over 1 million of those are activated and available for use with our VPS service. We receive about 1 million fresh scans each week, each containing hundreds of discrete images. So when you're walking around, they don't just take one little picture. They take hundreds of pictures as you're scanning all over the place of you, of the people you're around, of the people inside your house, of the people inside your business, of the people at the park, wherever you're at. You're in the bathroom scanning, you're playing Pokemon Go, it's getting scanned. That's right. If you're in the bathroom playing Pokemon Go, it's getting scanned. Wherever you're at, it's getting scanned. Quote, as part...
You are scanning when you are shitting and you are farting. I repeat, you are scanning when you are shitting and also farting.
Of the VPS, we build classical 3D vision maps using structure from motion techniques, but also a new type of neural map for each place. These neural models, based on our research papers, and they link to the research papers on ACE and ACE 0, do not represent locations using classical 3D data structures anymore, but encodes them implicitly in the learnable parameters of a neural network. These networks can swiftly compress thousands of mapping images into a lean neural representation, given a new...
How dare you, sir? How dare you? How dare you? What, just because we both have glasses and a beard? Suddenly we're related? Is that what we're doing here? Anybody with facial hair and glasses, I guess, is a relative of mine. Jesus Christ.
New query image. They
I'm
offer
offended.
precise positioning for that location with centimeter level accuracy. Holy heavens. I am flabbergasted that they're so outwardly admitting it at this point. They are spying on everyone who's playing the game and everyone who comes within visual range of anyone who plays the game. Have you ever been around someone in a park, in a restaurant, anywhere where someone was playing Pokemon Go? You are now in Niantic's giant database of surveillance, which was backed by the CIA, and which the CIA gave several awards to the guy who sits on Niantic's board, Gilman Louie, who originally invested in that company. And they did so because they thought this is going to be useful, and boy, were they right. Now think to yourself, what possible use could a spy agency have for a constantly updated, with millions and millions of new updates every week, searchable AI map of the world, of pedestrian locations where people can walk? Now, think about this for a second. Where are places that cars can't go?
Oh no. Fucking
Whoa. Stop.
Get out of here.
Inside your house. Oh, so the CIA now has a map of inside your house and where the things are at inside your house and where you usually are at inside your house and what you are doing usually when you are in those locations inside your house and what everyone else in your house is doing and at what days you did them and how fast you moved between the rooms. There's a ton of data in here, an absolute metric ton of data, so much data that it would make Dr. Evil blush and say, this is a bit too far. Don't you think this is a bit too much of an invasion of privacy? There is not a single Bond villain that wouldn't go, whoa, hold on, Haas, that's this is way too far. I mean, lasers on sharks is one thing, and blowing up the moon, yeah, that's cool and exciting, but this is crazy evil. Now, I'm not going to deny, the technology behind this is both impressive and neat. No doubt about it. And there are potentially a large variety of very practical uses for this sort of system. Not going to deny that either. Absolutely. However, I guarantee you, think about this, is the CIA interested in those uses that you think are totally practical and harmless?
So I always say this. Every single major technological advancement that we should be really excited about is ruined because of fucking capitalism. Or the government, or crony capitalism, if you're just tuning in and kind of still wrestling with the broken system we're trying to toil under. But every single technological advancement we have to look at with fear and apprehension, such as AI, such as automation, such as robotics, and yes, such as something as dystopian as a massive map, essentially. Which, because of the system we live under, we all think of just like a million things that they could do to further subjugate us, to further dominate us, to further control us, and monitor our every move. But again, if we lived under a better system, all of this would be celebrated. You know? So that's what for people who are just tuning in, that's what I personally always say. All of this shit would be so exciting if we didn't live under this dystopian hellscape.
For all of this data and these giant AI systems that are spying on you constantly. Is that why the CIA invested in it and gave people lots and lots of awards for creating it? Yeah. Yeah. If you believe that, I have a bridge in the middle of the Atlantic that I'd like to sell you. Oh my word. Well, here we go. What'll be really interesting to me is this. Now that basically everything I said about what the CIA is probably doing with this, what Niantic probably had planned here way back in 2016, has completely borne out to be 100% accurate and on point. This was kind of obvious. I wonder how many people out there will still be like, oh my gosh, Lunduke, you conspiracy theorist crazy person. I'm just going to hold my phone in front of me and walk around and point it at people, and there's no way this independent CIA-backed company is going to do anything with that data. Conspiracy. I think there's still going to be people out there who are like trying to brush this off as some weird conspiracy theory. Now that Niantic is outwardly bragging about exactly what they're doing with the data. Right? It's not just a theory anymore. It's not just, well, this is obviously what they're doing. They haven't said it, but what else are they going to be doing? That's what it was at. That's the stage we were at up until last week. Up until last week, it was, this is obviously the case. They're obviously spying on everybody, but they just haven't fessed up yet. Now they've not only fessed up, they stood on top of the mountain, declared it with a big old blog post, and basically told the world how great they are for it. So, anyway, I have to put that out there into the world, in part because it feels good to be vindicated after 8 years of being mocked for this one. So there you go. Whether you heard me talk about this on my show, on the radio, on the TV, read about the articles, or just heard people laugh at me on the internet because of my crazy conspiracy theory about CIA and Pokemon Go, well, now you know I was 100% accurate, completely spot on, and everyone who disagreed with me has absolutely no idea what they're talking about in relation to all this stuff. And that feels great. So,
and I gotta say, it's whenever you have one of these moments, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have had these moments as well, where you feel that vindication, it's so bittersweet. Because it's like, there's always a part of you, I don't know if you guys are the same way as me, there's always a part of you that hopes you're wrong. You're like, fuck, I hope I'm wrong. And then it turns out you're right, and I'm like, oh great, well, that's vindication, I suppose, but that's a confirmation of a terrible thing that's going to affect a lot of people in a really negative way. So I'm deeply disappointed. And it always comes too late too. So you can't really do anything about it. If you're only vindicated by the time this shit has already popped off and served its purpose, there's no point to your vindication. The only thing you can do that's positive is say, look, I was right about X, Y, and Z. So the next time I'm trying to, sound the alarm on something, can you at least consider that maybe my concerns might be a little valid? That's the only silver lining here. But let's think about, for a second, let's think about the implications of something like this. So an interactive, massive map that the CIA now has. So think about the ramifications of that for everything you do on your phone. And don't forget, Elmo over there on the Bird app wants everybody who's verified or whatever, uploading their ID, their identification. This is all coming together pretty quick. But I'll spoil it for everybody. What the ruling class wants, what the capitalist class wants, is they want to be able to track the every thought, utterance, and movement of the working class. They want to have eyes on absolutely everything we do, say, or even think. Because don't forget, Elon's also the brain chip guy, and the folks at the World Economic Forum have already been very public. that they would like neurological implants that would be able to read your mind and your emotions. So this is all coming together very quickly. And believe it or not, Karl Marx did call all of this shit out. So we're talking about, Fred, we're talking about I told you so. Karl Marx has like multiple centuries now of I told you so. I digress. That was the whole point behind Pokemon Go. You saw it break here first. Shout out to that guy for the video. That was awesome. But we are going to move on now to some more dystopian news. And I promise, we got some fun shit we're going to do tonight, okay? It's not all going to be doom and gloom and fear. But I wouldn't be doing y'all justice if I weren't, you know, tomorrow's news today, if you will. But moving swiftly along here. Illinois students who protested Gaza genocide are facing felony mob charges. The state's attorney is prosecuting University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign students over last April's encampments. Pre-trial hearings for students who participated in a Gaza Solidarity encampment in central Illinois last spring are being held on November 20th, which is past, and December 4th, 2024. The outcome of the 4 students' trials will determine whether they risk up to 3 years of incarceration on felony mob action charges for having exercised their free speech rights on campus. Which, the opening of that alone should give you chills down your spine. Because that just fucked up. The second, like, I know conservatives like to talk about gulags and authoritarianism in China and all that, but, like, what the fuck? This is happening right here under capitalism. Like, and it's way worse. It's not like I'm speaking up against government. It's literally saying I'm protesting an ongoing genocide. This is where we're at, guys. This is where we're at. You could go to jail for being against genocide. That's where the fuck we are in 2024. Jesus Christ. I have no words. Neither should you. The students from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, UIUC, one of the largest public universities in the country, constructed an encampment known as the Popular University for Gaza in April 2024 after months of Israel's relentless slaughter of Palestinians, mirroring dozens of other student-led sites along the United States. The UIUC's student demands were similar to those of their peers. An acknowledgement by the administration of Israel's ongoing genocide of Palestinians, funded almost exclusively by the United States, also Canada. A commitment to addressing Palestinian and Muslim affairs on campus, and divestment from all corporations and academic collaborations that support the Israeli occupation of Palestine. Really not crazy demands here, y'all. We're not really demanding the moon and the stars. Illinois student organizers, led in part by the group UIUC Students for Justice in Palestine, attempted to meet with university officials such as Chancellor Robert Jones, who announced his decision to resign from the university just last week. The students tried to engage with administration over the course of several months, but meaningful negotiations never materialized. This is my shock face. Students held demonstrations on campus and remained steadfast in their commitment to the encampment absent cooperation from the school. citing violations of its student handbook policies relating to tents and signs on its quad. The university ushered in scores of police officers spanning 5 different counties in central Illinois and requiring over $137,000 in overtime. According to faculty eyewitnesses, students were encircled and threatened with arrest and misdemeanor charges if they failed to cease their demonstrations. The students eventually voluntarily disassembled the encampment. 2 individuals were arrested, but neither were students. The issue appeared to be closed. But it wasn't closed. Over the summer months, UIUC police and Champaign County State's Attorney Julia Reitz joined forces to send a clear and heavy-handed message about how they intend to handle pro-Palestinian student speech going forward. Reitz, who had been on the faculty of UIUC's law school since 2009, began issuing summonses starting in July 2024 to students who are alleged to have participated in the encampment. A great deal of effort and resources seemingly went into targeting these students. University police utilized surveillance technology, including the use of license plate readers, as well as students' social media posts and body camera footage. Jesus fuck. Yeah, we're here, guys. We're literally here. The resulting summonses were not for misdemeanors. They contained mandates to appear in court for Class 4 felony mob action charges, which carry up to 3 years in prison. Several students were charged, including a Palestinian student. I'm sorry, if you're Palestinian, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Be like, yeah, I guess I'll do nothing when my people are getting genocided. On April 16, 2024, Reitz publicly stated during a local radio spot that these charges were pursued at the direct request of the university. However, the decision to prosecute these students for a felony under the mob action statute was ultimately a prosecutorial decision, despite Reitz's public claims that free speech is absolutely a protected right. Fucking sorry, like, until it isn't, right? While Reitz was elected by the community to serve the best interests of Champaign County, her private affiliation with the university raises questions about the lens she is using to review the evidence of these cases. Some UIUC faculty fear that Reitz is advocating on behalf of the university first instead of the country, and that the university is leveraging its connection with her to legitimize its mistreatments of students in the eyes of the public. The latter concern is particularly relevant because Reitz and the university have moved forward with prosecuting students despite the fact that numerous alumni, employees, and community activists have publicly urged them to stand down and respect constitutional rights. In July of 2024, 37 UIUC faculty sent an open letter to Reitz, calling for her to drop all charges against students. Many of these faculty members were present at the encampment and witnessed the peaceful actions of the students. In their letter, the faculty explained that many of the participating students have lost family members and were directly affected by Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza. They noted that the students' actions exemplified those of global citizens trying to use their voices for a more just and peaceful world. One of the alleged goals of UIUC, I keep butchering that, I'm sorry, my brain is soup. Additionally, the University of Illinois Board of Trustees public board meetings recently have included speakers during public commitment periods who have condemned the school's actions towards these students. Hey man, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. But of course, the Empire will protect its Zionist imperial outposts until it becomes too costly. That's our job. Yep. We still love you, Teehee. That makes one of you. Anyway, that goes, the article goes on. This is a great breakdown from truthout.org. Be sure to check out that article if you can. But again, that's where we're at. That's the level of dystopia we're at. The big takeaway there is if your government is directly involved in an immoral act, in something you consider unconscionable, such as an ongoing genocide, an ethnic cleansing of a group of people, what you can expect if you try and push back against that is incarceration, is punishment from the state. So the state is going to literally throw you in a fucking cell for being like, no, I don't want genocide. That's where we're at. And again, for all those people who are like, well, it's not where I am. If we normalize what's going on over there, we normalize that shit happening to people over here. Okay? That's the part you should be scared about. If you don't care about the Palestinian people, if you don't care about their plight, if for whatever reason those videos that you're seeing on TikTok don't make you cry and throw up and have panic attacks, then just consider that. You normalize it over there, it's going to come to your door eventually. That's how fascism works. That's how it's always worked. You either stand against it. It's that poem, that famous poem. First they came for the communists, right? That poem where it's like, you got to stand for people outside of your sphere. Because if you don't, eventually there will be no one to stand up for you. And this is how fascism operates. Okay? It's starting here. It's going to keep going. Unless we stand up against this and say no. Anyway, we're going to get a little lighthearted. A little more lighthearted. Because this is just funny as fuck. Y'all may have seen this article. I'm just going to go over it briefly and give my take. This is just great. I'm sorry. This is just fucking hilarious. Kamala Harris campaign aides suggest campaign was just doomed. The Harris campaign's internal polling apparently never had her ahead of Trump. Senior advisors to Vice President Kamala Harris's failed presidential campaign suggested this week that there just wasn't much else Harris could have done to beat Donald Trump. Harris couldn't have distanced herself from President Joe Biden, they said, because she was loyal. She couldn't have responded more forcefully to attacks over trans rights because doing so would have been playing Trump's game. I don't even know what that means. I've always said this about liberals in general. Just stand on business, okay? You can't ride the fence on things you're for. You just seem like you stand for nothing, okay? You're either for something, you're against it. And the whole campaign was just this weird, waffling mess. I think her staff, in addition to her, I think they were both drunk the whole time. And she might not have had much chance of winning anyway, given the deficit she inherited from Biden when he dropped out of the race in July. We were hopeful. I don't know how optimistic we were, but we thought, okay, this is tied. And if a couple things break our way, we could win. David Plouffe, a senior advisor to the campaign, said Tuesday on the Pod Save America podcast in a joint interview with fellow Harris campaign alums Jen O'Malley Dillon, Quentin Fulks, and Stephanie Cutter. Plouffe said the campaign's internal polling never had Harris ahead of Trump. So they were never ahead for all of the fanfare and the twerking for Harris and all of the like, oh my God, this is a blowout. She was never even ahead of Trump. We didn't get the breaks we needed on election day, he said. I think it surprised people because there was these public polls that came out in late September, early October, showing us with leads that we never saw. And again, everybody, I hate to say, but everybody just thought 2020 2016 this entire time. The second Biden came out and talked about Trump supporters being garbage, everybody's brains went to basket of deplorables and they were like, oh, we're fucked. At least that's where my brain went. I'm like, oh, great. Hillary 2.0. This is going to be fun. But again, because I don't really believe in like capitalist democracy, bourgeois electoralism, I sincerely thought the whole time it's a toss-up. Whoever's going to win is whoever the ruling class thinks is a better representative to the working class for their prime aims. Because that's the only point in a president to me. That's the only purpose the person has. They are a sock puppet for the rich and powerful. The sooner people accept that, the more all of this nonsense makes perfect fucking sense. But a lot of you are smart like me, you know that already. There's no doubt that voter anger over high prices hurt Harris, just as it has hurt incumbent politicians all over the world. Since Trump's victory, however, Democrats have debated the relative impacts of other factors, such as the campaign's muted response to Trump's anti-trans TV ads, and Harris's decision not to say how she'd be different from Biden. Now, this right here, I'd like to highlight a little more so than we're already highlighting, because this part is really fucking important. This is actually super goddamn important. Can I kill this ad? There we go. Not to say how she'd be different from Biden. So I'm going to break down the analysis a little bit here. When your opponent is running as a change agent, which has always been Donald Trump's shtick, I'm against the establishment, even though his whole first term he did nothing but the establishment's bidding. But again, that doesn't matter. When you're running as a change agent, right? And you're the vice president for an administration that people are seeing, they saw mismanaged COVID response to, they saw war in Ukraine break out, they saw inflation go through the roof, now they're seeing a genocide in Gaza. When you're running against a change agent, you really have to communicate, yeah, there's a lot of shit I do different. Because otherwise you're telling people, this guy is saying I'm going to fix everything and I'm going to change the direction. And you're essentially saying, we can just keep going, it's fine, everything's good. And this is why I sincerely believe that the Democrats threw the election for Trump. I think it was a bit of an A/B test at first, but I think legitimately that the ruling class decided that Trump would be the best spokesperson for their agenda moving forward. And I think we can see that as well in the massive amount of capital that was invested in this whole thing. Excuse me. During an early October appearance on The View, Sunny Hostin, one of the hosts of the daytime talk show, asked Harris if there was anything she would have done differently than Biden, whose approval rating had been underwater since 2021. There is not a thing that comes to mind, Harris said in an answer ready-made for a Trump TV ad. And I've been part of most of the decisions that have had impact. Many Democratic pollsters and strategists have questioned why Harris didn't give some example of how she'd be different, such as by saying she would have acted faster than Biden did to reduce migrant crossings at the US-Mexico border. We'll get into the whole immigrant shit later, because that's a whole can of worms in and of itself. Harris said that the campaign heard the second guessing, but she said Harris was merely being true to herself and loyal to Biden. And saying otherwise would have backfired. It would not have. Because you have to look at his approval rating and you have to, again, you're either woefully out of touch or this is all deliberate and just a puppet show. I personally believe the latter I always had. An empire as fascist as the United States of America does not let someone waltz in and just seize the reins of power. Lest we all forget what happened to John F. Kennedy. industrial capital versus finance capital, and industrial won this time. Pretty much. But again, the capitalist class has perfect solidarity. The capitalist class has the class solidarity that we fucking need. And we don't have it because of all the trickery and games that they play. Yep. With both kidneys, they didn't miss. We knew we had to show her as her own person and point to the future and not try to rehash the past, Cutter said. But she also felt that she was part of the administration, and unless we said something like, well, I would have handled the border completely differently, we were never going to satisfy anybody. She had tremendous loyalty to President Biden, Cutter continued. Imagine if we said, well, we would have taken this approach on the border. Imagine the round of stories coming out after that of people saying, well, she never said that in the meeting. Since Election Day, Democrats have also debated the impact of Trump's anti-trans messaging, with some lawmakers questioning the party's fealty to trans rights activists with uncompromising positions. The Trump campaign spent significant resources on ads highlighting Harris's past support for gender-affirming care, including surgery for people incarcerated in federal prisons. Balks, Harris's former deputy campaign manager, called those ads very effective, although he and Plouffe said they doubted whether the ads actually moved voters. Some polling has shown the issue moved independent voters who broke for Trump. I don't personally really think they cared. I think the large majority of people, first and foremost, they voted with their wallets. And they voted on a dice roll. Donald Trump was a dice roll. That's what you got to look at him as. If you believe in this electoral process, which I don't, but you are free to do so, because, you know, your guess is as good as mine. We can't mind read after all. At least not until the brain chips come into play. It was a dice roll. They were like, well, shit can't possibly be much worse. We're like 2 centimeters away from World War III. I can't afford anything. I'm poor as fuck. Let's see if the game show can magically, like, fart out an improvement. You know, most voters just weigh their options. They're like, well, this sucks, so I'm going to go for something different. I hate to say it, but that's kind of how your median voter thinks. This is shit. So maybe the other option is going to be less shit. That's it. So I have some thoughts. I think it was doomed from the start, but I feel like a lot of the messaging I'm seeing from like the Democrat campaign, whether it's deliberate or not, is like missing a lot of key components. First off, when you tell protesters of an ongoing genocide that you're speaking, you're not just communicating, as I've said before, to the people who consider the actions of Israel to be an unconscionable deal breaker, which they are. You're also demonstrating how you're going to handle criticism, how you're going to handle concerns. It could have been a protest for anything, and it's a bad look because you're saying, I don't care about what you're saying, I'm talking, okay? Unless you want Trump to win, what you're saying doesn't fucking matter. That was the real problem with that whole thing. So, that was the main problem with that whole thing right there. But I digress. In other news, moving swiftly along from Dystopia Weekly, which I hope y'all enjoyed. It was a doozy today, that's for sure. In the light of the recent Orange Man re-election, liberals, as you may have guessed, are showing their bellies fucking left and right. Here's Chonk. I'm going to make my boldest prediction yet. I think at least half of Trump's base are actual populists, and they will challenge him if he goes awry. No one on the left will believe me. They think everyone in MAGA is in a cult and will follow Trump no matter what. I disagree. You got a bunch of comments that's like, you're almost there, Jank. And he corrects the name, but like a bunch of people are like, now for the record, all of these people here are lying. Like Kevin Sorbo, we only want America first. If Trump details that, I think he means derail. He's gone. Mehdi Hassan, it's a cult, Jank. They're all lying. Because we saw it for 4 years already. That's kind of the elephant in the room here. For 4 years, these people bent over backwards and twisted themselves into pretzels to justify all the very not anti-establishment, pro-swamp shit that Trump did. We all remember the 4D chess stuff. It's become a meme now. But we see all of the prominent liberal figures. This is Anna Kasparian as well.
Politics has substituted religion. I think that politics has substituted religion to some extent. People have almost like this religious zealotry toward their political beliefs. And when that happens, it's really difficult to have a conversation with someone without it immediately devolving into allegations of bad faith, of, lying, deception, all sorts of things. And so maybe that's part of it. But honestly, I didn't really notice this as an issue in America until Donald Trump was running for president, and then after he got elected as president. And I am 1,000,000% guilty of honestly allowing him to kind of break my brain for a little bit, because I saw him as such a significant threat.
So you can kind of see like the temperature changing. Because I'd like to remind all you guys, all these people who are now pretty much kissing the ring. Before this election, he was a fascist. He was Hitler. He was X, Y, and Z. And then the second, oh, fucking so correct, Rick. Xena as a show was way more base than Hercules. And we all had a crush on her. Most chicks too, actually, now that I think of it. Nothing wrong with it. Lucy Lawless. But you'll notice the shift from the entire liberal apparatus from he's Hitler, he's evil, blah, blah, blah. And now all of these liberal figures, all of these progressives, if you will, are kind of just softening up. And it's like, well, he's not really, we gotta, And you guys saw, I'm sure, that whole thing where Jank was like over the moon that like Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. humored him over an idea he had with the Pentagon, for example. I hate to subject y'all to it, but you gotta see it. You gotta see it. This is Bill Maher's new rule about Thanksgiving. And yeah, it's every bit as fucking cringe as you expect it to be.
Finally, new rule, can we please not let politics fuck up the holidays? Anybody with me on this? Okay. I mean, half the country is moping, half can't stop gloating. Enough! It's fucking Christmas and you will act like it. 'Tis the season and all that. I don't want to read any more articles like the one about the Trump-loving county sheriff in Ohio who posted on Facebook before the election, "If you support the Democratic Party, I will not help you." Well, thank you for your service, worst responder. No wonder the side of your patrol car says to protect and swerve. Hey, asshole, it's your job to help people, all people, not just the ones you agree with. And I would say the same to the FEMA supervisor in Florida who told the rank and file relief workers after Hurricane Milton to avoid helping homes with Trump signs on their lawns. This shit has got to stop on both sides. This is America. I want to be judged by the content of my character, not what's on my lawn. There's a great article that came out in the Free Press this year by someone who learned this firsthand. It's called Whatever Happens, Love Thy Neighbor. And it tells of how a married couple, who are exactly the portrait of a liberal white couple living in Park Slope, Brooklyn, that you would expect, wind up moving upstate and then are surrounded by Trumpers, and they're petrified. But then, when they get stuck in the snow, the Trump guy down the street doesn't hesitate to help dig the liberals out. The author, Larissa Phillips, says she slowly came to reject the political prejudice so common among my tribe, and that it's hard to care where someone stands on politics when they race to your house to save a dying lamb, when their wife helps search for your runaway dogs, and that she personally has been stunned by the depth of my neighbor's generosity. It's almost like there are fine people on both sides.
Okay.
And that human beings are complicated. If we're going to remain a viable society, there must be some things that transcend politics, like disaster relief and law enforcement and helping neighbors. And fucking Christmas! You know, I get it that for the Democrats, this was a brutal loss. But the plan to deal with it has to be something better than stay in a snit and take advantage of this magical time of year to cut people off. The Huffington Post has articles like, my husband voted for Trump, so I'm canceling Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oh, gee, not having to buy you a present, that'll teach him. But family isn't like gender. You can't fix it by cutting off members. The chief psychiatric resident at Yale University, Amanda Calhoun, recently told Joy Reid it's okay to cut off family members if they voted for Trump and tell them, I'm not going to be around you this holiday. Oh, how pure. It's like not letting certain people sit with you on the bus. She also said that it shouldn't be automatic that family members think they're entitled to your time. She said that's just a societal norm. Family. Who do they think they are? Family? I mean, think about that. A mental health professional advising people to isolate during the holidays. And don't forget to drink too much and put on weight. And this Thanksgiving, before the big meal, remember to take turns saying what you're hateful about. You know who I really wouldn't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with? This overly educated, i.e. extremely stupid, ivory tower academic. But I would, because if we ever want this nation to heal, this is what we have to do. Force ourselves to reach out and find out why someone feels the way they do and make the choices they make without prejudging them a monster. And they must do the same for you. I mean, what? Thank you, one guy. But I mean, seriously, whatever happened to, why can't we have the Christmas spirit all year round? Now it's, hey, it's Christmas time. Get the fuck out of my house. I can't look at you. Fuck off. And while you're at it, go have your baby in the barn. I mean, can we have a little perspective? At the first Thanksgiving, the Indians somehow found it within themselves to sit down with the Pilgrims who were there to steal their land and slaughter them. And you're telling me you can't suck it up and watch the Fiesta Bowl with Uncle Cletus? There's even a trend now among liberal women of wearing blue bracelets to signal that they're Kamala voters and therefore safe to approach and talk to, because God forbid you fall into some checkout line chit-chat with, gasp, a Republican. And many young women are now also pledging never to have sex with any man who voted for Trump. Really? That's your big plan? Embargoing the pussy?
Not even funny anymore.
It's so egotistical, as if the ultimate punishment is not letting people have you. Hey, you know what? You weren't fucking Trump-type guys anyway. Well, except for Taylor.
Wait, what? What do you mean they're cutting off the stream? Wait, hold on. Really? I can't play a YouTube video of... Wait, hold on. Where is this? This is from YouTube. Again, it's from YouTube. I don't get this. God damn it. Well, shit. Hold on. Give me 1 sec, y'all. Working fine on Kick. HBO copy. Oh, fuck that asshole. Hold on, give me 1 sec, y'all. Oh, shit. Was suspended for policy violations. Well, that's not good. Okay. All right, sorry about that, guys. I've never understood this about YouTube, but apparently playing YouTube videos is not okay if you're streaming on YouTube. Which I never understood. I don't think I'll ever understand... Thank you, Nihilo. I don't think I'll ever understand the logic of, like, this is a thing on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube. But if I play the thing that's available on YouTube, YouTube is not going to like it. I'm sorry. That kind of breaks my fucking brain. Because it's on YouTube. Like, what is the difference? Wait, what do you mean double audio? What the hell, man? Hold on, let me look. Oh no, it's fine. You spooked me. No, I definitely don't want to lose a channel over Bill Maher either, especially considering, like, it's on you again. Like, I don't know if my brain is ever going to be able to, like, accept the idea that you can't play something on YouTube on YouTube. How do you get a copyright for that? It's on YouTube. Anyway, we'll move on. What also baffles me is, like, other people play Bill Maher. I saw like 3 streamers play Bill Maher this week on YouTube. How do other people get away with it? Just really fucking weird. Like, very weird. Anyway, we'll move on. But I have some thoughts. Because if we are going to get hit for some shit, I'm at least going to make a point of all this madness. Now, what Bill Maher said on the surface isn't a bad idea. It's not a bad notion, I don't think. I don't think you should cut people off for who they voted for. Especially when your options were genocide or genocide with a rainbow. Especially when your options were like corporate rulership or like mean corporate rulership. Like, it seems okay on the surface, is my point. But you need to think a little further along the lines here. Sorry, I'm still kind of rattled with the whole, like, freak out over what I'm playing. Gotta chill a bit. Ugh. I just like to say I can't wait for a post-YouTube world. Where you don't run into these weird, like, Orwellian fucking... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I digress. My point is, what Bill's saying and what everybody else is saying, where it's like, yeah, you know, like, we gotta live with it. Yeah, you know, like, the Trumpers aren't that bad. Don't cancel people over Christmas. That's fine, and I agree with it. Because I don't think you should, like, cut people off for who they voted for. They didn't have a good decision either way. You might as well have flipped a coin. Because either way, you're getting the same shit. I think a lot of voters kind of understand that. They just don't have the closure yet. They don't have the gumption to move past the duopoly completely. We have a lot of people in Canada like that too, where they're like, well, maybe we'll try conservative. I know liberal isn't working. And then, you know, conservative's not working. They try liberal. You know, at the end of the day, like, they're just kind of flipping a coin. They're like, maybe the other guys will, like, magically figure some shit out. The problem I have with all this, with all these liberal and progressive people, is that before the election results, all of these people were screaming from the rooftops that this guy was Hitler and it was going to be the end of democracy and, like, excuse me, it was going to be the complete end of the world if he gets elected. And they move from that to immediately just normalizing it. To being like, yeah, well, you know, it's okay. We'll get him next time. It's all good. That's the problem I have. And that's the role that liberals have with fascism. Okay? And that's why a lot of the shit you see in this puppet show we call Western politics only makes sense when you view all of the political parties as one object. The behavior of the Democrats and the Republicans separately doesn't make a lot of sense. Trump's behavior, the Democrats' behavior. It doesn't make a lot of sense when separate. When you view it as one object, as one group working together to further a common interest, it makes perfect sense. All of a sudden, oh yeah, no duh. Of course the Democrats threw an election and gave it to Trump. They just got away with a bunch of horrible, horrendous shit that furthered the aims of the rich and powerful of which they work for. And now they're going to hand it off to Trump. That's going to make a lot of the base feel, validated. They're going to feel like they really stuck it to the Dems and taught them a lesson. I think that's what Dave Smith was talking about. He's voting for Trump even though he's a libertarian, which I don't know how you square that peg. But he said he's voting for Trump to teach the Dems a lesson. It's like, yeah, that's how you get a large group of people.
One sec.
Knock. Audio hiccup too. Anyway, my point is that is how you keep a large group of people from going out on the streets and disrupting Capitol and threatening your rule. You have the people doing all the harms in the world take a huge L, they lose power, another party gets in, and they start fucking around, and you feel vindicated, you feel validated, you feel like you won. And then that party does a bunch of things for the rich and powerful. And then you eventually end up upset with them, just like everybody was happy that Trump lost because they were tired of his bullshit. And now they're tired of Biden, so Trump won because they were tired of Biden's bullshit. It's just a changing of the guard. That's it. And this only makes sense if you think of it as one fucking object. We got some interesting stuff. We got some real interesting stuff. Does Himbo call his elbow NSA? That might have been my elbow. But yes, my elbow is NSA. Anyway. We got some interesting developments insofar as the MAGA people are already getting a little anxious, I suppose. Specifically towards Operation Warp Speed, this is what Trump talked about. We're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of COVID. And if you recall, under President Trump's leadership, we had incredible public health policies. President Trump's unparalleled creation of Operation Warp Speed was one like we've never seen before. MAGA's like, don't get me wrong, I voted for Trump, but he needs to shut up about Warp Speed. It was a massive failure. And I gotta say, guys, MAGA is coping really fucking hard. They're coping really hard about this. I'll show you guys how hard they're coping. This is a video that one of the Trump operatives made to kind of explain away his whole role in the whole Operation Warp Speed thing, because of course his base is not happy with a lot of the the policies around that period of time. Check this shit out. You might have seen this video spammed everywhere, but even if you weren't, their original plan was to slow roll a vaccine after 10 years of lockdowns, involuntarily detaining people into quarantine camps. When the vax was finally released, it would have been mandatory and dissenters would have been detained in the camps. Warp Speed stopped the FEMA camps.
If there are people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings.
I think regional quarantine facilities are going to be needed into the future. We'll also need it for unvaccinated people.
Or you could track people, put bracelets on their arms, have police and other setups to ensure quarantine is undertaken.
Police officers blocked my driveway. I walked out and I said, what's going on? Are you guys testing me for COVID? What's happening? They said, no, you're getting taken away and you have no choice. You're going to Howard Springs. So I just said, look, I don't consent to this. I don't understand why I can't just self-isolate at home like a lot of other people are doing. And they just said, we've just been told from higher up where to take you, and that's all that there is.
Okay, so this video's like an hour long, but I'll TLDR it for you guys. Basically, the cope they're having, and this video was spammed all over right after he did the bragging about warp speed thing. This video was spammed all over the place. Basically, their cope is Donald Trump, he did Operation Warp Speed to prevent people from getting locked into FEMA camps, because it apparently fixed the lockdowns. There's a problem with that. We locked down after warp speed, which none of them even want to address. I got blocked by like 3 people for pointing that out, just saying like, okay, but like we had the rollout and then we had to lock down again because there was a surge and like it didn't stop the surge. So if they locked us down afterward anyway, after the rollout, wouldn't they just use that as an opportunity to put us in these FEMA camps? Like, it makes no sense. They are inventing copes for the various red flags that are, he's not even in office and there's already red flags. We've gone over his cabinet picks, like, this tweet, I don't know who this person is, but this tweet blew my brain up. It literally detonated my head, y'all, for real. Very simple, but like, Elon Musk is Donald Trump's handler. Now think of Elon Musk. He's the technocrat guy. He's largely involved with the government. He is a defense contractor, for fuck's sake. SpaceX is heavily involved with all branches of government. Okay? He's the brain chip guy. And yes, he has lots of tweets about a subject related to warp speed that are very not friendly to the Trump crowd. I'll put it that way. And now he's hanging around Donald Trump all the time. They're like a tag team duo. I think that might be a plausible hypothesis. Maybe Elon Musk is in fact his handler. He's the guy there to make sure he stays on the course of the technocratic path, the sheepdog operation that the MAGAs are being led down. Because that is absolutely what this fucking is. We got some funny shit though, because the MAGA cope does not end. Oh boy, does it not end. I am now presenting local sleep paralysis demon / Donald Trump operative Laura Loomer. Because apparently Mark Zuckerberg, yes, that Mark Zuckerberg, had dinner with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Breaking news as of yesterday. For the election, Meta CEO said that Trump surviving an assassination attempt was badass, but declined to endorse a candidate. And this is Laura just having a normal one. Can't believe Zuckerberg is being let off the hook. Very disappointing. He's getting away with all of his crimes and illegal election interference. Sadly, it's true. Zuckerberg was wined and dined at Mar-a-Lago tonight, even though he was censoring posts about President Trump's assassination attempt, and even though he deplatformed President Trump and most of his loyal supporters. All of the worst people who did the worst thing to Trump loyalists are being given a seat at the table. I don't have any other word to describe it aside from disappointing! I was really hoping there would be accountability for the guy who incited violence against President Trump's most loyal supporters and the man who used Zuckerbucks to steal the 2020 election. I was really hoping we would see some accountability for censorship. Sadly, we aren't. Looks like Zuckerberg is being rewarded and will face zero punishment. How sad to see. Meh. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to make the sound. Or like Laura Lunar, got him. We got him. See that? We got him. The GOT has been acquired. Especially as someone who still remains banned on all Meta platforms and was even designated as a dangerous individual by Facebook simply because I supported Trump. Can't say I'm hopeful for accountability for election riggers and big tech tyrants anymore. Looks like they will all be getting away with what they did to so many of us. And like one of the Trump operatives, she's like using the most like passive, like non-accusatory language. This guy's literally like having dinner with Trump. And she's like, well, I guess they're in charge and Trump's helpless. No, you idiot. And she's like melting down. Look at this. She's having a fucking meltdown. Or is it? She did like this massive stream of consciousness over this. Oh, this is a little black belt. Stop thinking stop living in your make-believe 4D chess la la land. There's no such thing. You have to stop believing in these 3D chess 4D chess bullshit. Oh my god, they're not doing good, y'all. Here it is. This is the Zuckerberg meltdown. Just losing it, y'all. Just losing it. Over... I hate that I'm agreeing with Laura Looney / fuck you, man. Hey, listen. That's a level of self-awareness that is really surprising for the MAGA cult. The fact that she's at least like, stop with the 4D chess. He's not gonna fix the country with tech billionaires. It's like, you motherfucker. The funniest thing too, these people all pretend they have no idea who Peter Thiel is. Speaking of technocrat billionaires. But no, Laura, she's still coping, by the way. She thinks he's not like aligned with these people. They're like taking advantage of him. He's already getting taken for a ride, even though he's like not even in the White House yet. And already he's getting bamboozled and he's helpless. I found this fascinating. So maybe I've been living under a rock. Maybe I've been like maybe I've been out of the tinfoil loop, but I thought David Icke and Alex Jones were like really cool, right? Sorry, Thiel, okay? Thiel. Peter Thiel like the color me. I thought David Icke and Alex Jones, like, wasn't David Icke like Alex Jones' mentor or some shit? Well, apparently the girlies are fighting. Let's see here. So this is David Icke quote tweeting Alex Jones. Oh my god, breaking exclusive. Learn why Elon Musk's plan to colonize the moon and Mars is critical to the future of humanity's survival and consciousness. Oh god. David Icke, I don't know what's happened to this guy, but he's become Musk's biggest ass kisser while continuing to claim he's alternative. Tragic. What he says here about Musk is so self-deluded, where do you start? Everything he says about the globalists is where the Musk-Trump Psyop is taking us by a different soft sell route using different rhetoric and excuses. How can he not see that? It's extraordinary. He believes that Musk is running SpaceX, Pentagon/NASA, brain chip Neuralink, autonomous vehicle Tesla, and all his other companies while being a front man sales pitcher for the real controllers and technocratic drivers ticking off their agenda. Damn. Yo. I never thought I'd say this, but David Icke's kind of cooking here. How is David Icke cooking? What is going on? What is happening? Is my brain broken or is someone else's brain broken? Comrade Icke? What's happening? I'm scared. Okay, and now he's talking about like consciousness. That's a little bit of like spiritual stuff. Get off your knees to the Musk God, Alex, and the Trump God. You have become a parody of alternative by your unquestioning allegiance to these Pied Pipers. And the same with all the others: Rogan, Carlson, Brand, Peterson, Weinstein, Poole, Rudkowski. There are now so many, and what has happened to the alternative is indeed tragic, and in terms of freedom, very dangerous. Damn! What is happening? How is David Icke cooking? I thought these guys were like bros. What happened? Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Proletariat Ike. Alex even replied to him too. Because he mentioned Alex Jones directly. Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Russell Brand, Brett Weinstein, Jimmy Dore, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Luke Rudkowski. On and on it goes. The fake and hijacked alternative media have Pied Pipered you into the lair of the global cult under the guise of Trump. I did warn you, but mega abuse was my reward. Maybe now people who bought the latest, most obvious and blatant lies will see that politics is not the answer. It's the problem, the diversion. So that must mean the answer is us then. When will that penny drop? Well, no, David, the problem is capitalism. The problem has always been capitalism. Again, Karl Marx called this out hundreds of years ago. But I like the answer is us. That's close, a little. But then Jones responds. Trump is trying to end the Ukraine war. People are waking up to the globalists big time. I don't think Trump is my savior, but I'll certainly take him over Kamala Harris, with 95% of the corporate donations. I don't mind if Dave disagrees with me on issues, but I've said and done what I believe is right for humanity. I'm certainly not part of the hijack media, as he claimed. David has been invited on the show to give his perspective. So far refuses to come on. I'm so excited to be working with RFK Jr. on making the world healthy and shitting and farting and pissing and coming again. I could go on, but a closed mind can only be opened from the inside. I will always love you, David. I work for Mossad. I had to do it. So, David Icke and Alex Jones are fighting. I don't even know what to do with this information. I thought they were chill, but apparently, I'm sorry, like, there's a lot of that shit David Icke's spitting that he's cooking. 'Cause that's the same shit I say too. This entire, like, Pied Piper Trump industrial complex that is signing people's digital fates, that is getting all of the gun owners in America, getting all of the conservatives, all the people who would violently oppose things like digital ID, things like surveillance, things like brain chips, things like warp speed. All these people, Donald Trump is getting them to, like, sign into this. He's getting them to opt in to the very dystopian future that they are against. David Icke's right. That's exactly what's fucking happening. I never thought I'd be saying David Icke's right. I don't know what level of clown world we're in where I'd ever be saying David Icke is cooking. Fuck you, David Icke. I can't believe you're making me say you're cooking. God damn it. God damn it. Fuck. Piss balls. We truly live in clown world, y'all. We truly live in Clowntopia. Yeah, that's just something I wanted to show y'all. I didn't expect David Icke and Alex Jones to be quarreling. Maybe someone who's Dad Crush Thanksgiving. Hey, thanks for coming in. Maybe you guys can, like, fill me in. Were they, like, fighting and I just missed it? I'm not huge in, like, the Alex Jones, like, universe. I just keep tabs on him because he's the guy that, like, Alex Jones is one of the main, like, sheepdogs for everybody who's, like, you know, kind of like tinfoiled, you know, like red pilled or whatever. Like, they're outside of. Alex Jones did a great thing in getting a lot of people who were completely removed from the machine, the establishment, like politics in general. They're talking about, like, how it's all show, it's all song and dance. He did a great job in sheepdogging all of those people and plugging them back into the Republican Party. Think of all of the sheepdogging that Alex Jones did for the duopoly on the right. So that's my connection to him. I just didn't think he'd be fighting with David Icke. Because I thought they were, like, you know, I thought they were both, like, hand in hand. In fact, hold on. Let's check this out. So, as I understand it, Band.video is a thing of Alex Jones's, correct? Is Band.video, Indy, are you still here? Is Band.video, like, owned by Alex Jones? Or is this just an alternate site and Alex Jones is, like, it's got to be owned by him, right? Like, there's ads up here for his weird products and shit. Anyway, let's assume. I'm pretty sure David Icke has a presence. Yeah, David Icke, he's right there. So David Icke is on Alex Jones's platform. Oh my God, really?
They don't own the AlexJonesStore.com. Let's say it again. They don't own the Alex.
This is so weird. Okay, so David Icke made a video shitting on all the people that Alex Jones is supporting. And as I go to play the video, Alex Jones himself is making an ad on a video that David Icke is using to probably shit on Alex Jones. I don't know what to say. This is just weird. Oh my God. We love you too, my dear. We will change the world. One shitpost at a time. I'm sorry, that's just so weird. My mind is still like kind of like my mind's still a little broken from the whole like Alex Jones who had Alex Jones and David Icke fighting on your fucking bingo card. What is happening? God damn it. Anyway. In other news, y'all might have seen this video, but we're going to watch it anyway. Zionist goblins accost pro-Palestine protesters.
Whoa, absolutely. Hey! Whoa, absolutely not.
I work with the governor.
I don't care.
I work with the
that does not give you the right to theft. That does not give you the right to theft.
I got it. This is illegal. This is illegal.
I don't care. It's mine.
Oh, it is?
Theft is illegal. What you're doing is illegal.
What you're doing is illegal, sir.
Holding a banner is a right of freedom of speech.
No, it's not.
Hey, listen. This is not.
I work with law enforcement. Okay, let go.
No, you let go. What the hell? You're the one committing theft.
No, you have it. Excuse me.
This is okay. Can I have this? Can this be mine? This is mine. I'm holding it. I'm in possession.
Why is it attached to there?
Because it's mine. I can do whatever I want with my property.
No, you cannot. This
you
is
cannot
your property?
take this. Yes.
This is your property?
This is now my property.
This is your property?
This is my property.
Okay, then take your property.
I'm putting it
and
right.
leave. Get off this bridge. Get off this bridge.
Ma'am.
This is the city's property.
No.
Yes, it is.
I pay taxes to every place that I go, don't I?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
These people are fucking mentally unwell. And I mean that in the psychological context of like severe cluster B traits or full-blown personality disorder. Zionists are not okay. And we see this a lot psychologically with adherence to fascism. Fascism naturally does attract people with stronger narcissistic or antisocial, sociopathic, psychopathic traits. But like, look at this. They're just protesting on a fucking bridge. That's all they're doing. And some Karen, some goblin has to always like slither up and be like, give me the flag. What is this? And he's totally right too. Like, you pay taxes, you have freedom of speech. But I will remind y'all that Orange Man, Captain Freedom of Speech, has been very specific on things he wants to do to pro-Palestine demonstrators, or specifically any anti-Semitic, which we know is just criticizing Israel, people. Exactly, Witchy. You have as much freedom as the rich want you to have. That is the tea, as the kids say. Is that what the kids say? I don't know. Moving on though, popular streamer Hassan Piker was on CNN. Actually, wait. I'm not going to play that. I don't want to risk us getting, like, turned off or anything. I'll just talk about it. So apparently Hassan Piker, famous leftist streamer, although he never shuts up about the Democratic Party, was on CNN, and they interviewed him and talked about, like, you know, the Harris campaign and what they could have done differently. And there's a lot of talk about the left needing, like, their own Joe Rogan or something. Which I feel like right off the bat is out of touch, because it's like, the problem isn't you don't have enough propaganda. If your takeaway from Kamala Harris losing, if again you believe in shit like electoralism, which I don't, Like, if you believe in that, like, the L that Harris took wasn't because you didn't have good enough propaganda. I mean, shit, you had celebrities. You had the whole corporate press apparatus. You had social media goblins like Harry Sisson running around, Dash Dabrowski running around, big news. You had this giant, like, propaganda apparatus. But again, no amount of propaganda, no number of leftist Joe Rogans are going to save you if your policies are shit, which they were. And I'll break this down. Okay? I made a tweet about it just because I feel like this kind of encapsulates the main problem with this campaign. Okay? Just let me find it, because I'm shooting from the hip a bit here. This is why you guys come here, though, to watch me suffer from the worst episodes of ADHD the world's ever seen. Here we go. Okay. All right, so this is a tweet I saw, and I just had to say some shit. This is in response to CBS News. Some voters are hoping President-elect Donald Trump may send out another stimulus check. Experts say the likelihood of this is extremely slim. Could have had $25,000 to buy a house, $6,000 child credit, $50,000 business credit, but you went for the $1,200 check that's never happening, and now prices are going to go up $3,000 a year from tariffs alone with no stimulus checks in sight. This is the point I was making, and I think this is the main fucking problem. Okay? Most people can't afford a house, and I looked all this up, okay? I'll break all three of these down. Now, $25,000 for a down payment. That sounds nice, except it's already out of touch, because the average down payment in North America is $34,000. So this is already completely out of touch, because that leaves about $9,000. And when the majority of the country is living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have fucking $9,000. So that's already out of touch. I found these statistics very quickly, so the number they came up with here is already out of touch. Because already a lot of people are getting disqualified because they're like, oh, 25 grand, that'd be really nice, but I can't even like put aside 9 grand. So then they're drawn to the other guy who promises them the moon and the stars, and of course he's lying because that's what Trump does. But already that's out of touch. Now the second one, $6,000 child credit. Like, holy fuck, man. Have you looked at the cost of living? A lot of people, that's useless for a lot of people because they literally have realized that they can't afford to have kids. People want kids, but they realize living paycheck to paycheck that they don't have enough money to support another whole human being. So that one's out of touch. And the third one, I don't even know who this is for. $50,000 business credit? Where the fuck do you expect people living paycheck to paycheck to get the capital to run their fucking business? Again, all three of these, like I said, most people can't afford a house, afford to have kids, afford to run a business, which is why Harris lost. Hope that helps. Because that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth of the matter. Most people can't afford any of those things. Welcome back, Witchy. It just, I don't know what to do with this. Now, for next segment, I want to go over something that I'm noticing a lot of. And I want to go off the bat by saying I'm not coming at this from a let's make fun of these people angle. Okay? I'm coming at this from an empathetic angle. Want to preface that before we go into it. So again, before we get cooking, I'm coming at this from a how can we help these people angle. I am not judging. I am not saying, oh my God, haha, these people are ridiculous. I think this is actually a problem that we should probably address.
No, you aren't supporting, investing, or organizing your community to uplift the most marginalized if you're still not masking. Our liberation has always been connected. The continued rise of fascism is directly connected to Palestine, Sudan, Congo, losing reproductive rights, anti-trans violence, xenophobia, and yes, COVID. Being okay with disabled and immunocompromised folks dying for your convenience is not very progressive of you, especially when we know repeat infections can cause lifelong damage for all of us. If you are unable to handle the inconvenience of wearing a mask to protect your community, how much are you really willing to personally invest in the liberation of marginalized people? That being said, it's never too late to start masking again and taking more precautions, but it is too late for the millions of folks who died because of our government's complete mishandling of a global pandemic that continues to still take lives every day. Bye, friends.
So you might have seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this where people, they will insert like COVID stuff, masking. They will insert COVID into pretty much every cause, every issue. Even with this one, where it's essentially like, you're not supporting Palestine unless you're masking. I mentioned this once before, but like there was this one weird, probably a Fed account, Marxist account, that was literally like, masking will fight capitalism or something. So they're attaching the COVID shit to like every other topic. And like, I want to talk about that for a second because I legitimately think that COVID as an event, and completely understandably, I'm not being like these people are ridiculous, haha. I feel like this is like a moment where we have to actually like think about helping these people and think about the gross missteps in this event that our leaders took. I think this might have caused like an actual mental illness to develop in people who exhibit this behavior. Excuse me. Because here's the thing. I'm going to go over an article from Psychology Today. That kind of makes a bit of a case for it. COVID for a lot of people most likely was a traumatic event. And one downside of trauma is that it can possibly, it can kind of stick you in the area where you were traumatized. And you kind of are forced to always kind of relive that time period. That's why a lot of people who were traumatized at a young age do not develop emotionally, don't develop empathy. In the case of a lot of personality disorders, there's a very strong link to childhood trauma, and that's because a part of you gets stuck at that moment. It isn't able to move on. And I'd like to explore the possibility that COVID may have caused that to a lot of people. Because I'm seeing a lot of this where, you guys have probably seen it too, where people are still stuck in like 2020. They're still stuck in like 2020, 2021. or they're still like panicking. I've seen people who talk about like not being able to leave their house. I know people who won't leave their house still because of COVID. Like they're perpetually stuck. It doesn't matter how many precautions they take, how many medical treatments they take. They're just like, it's this constant boogeyman that's always haunting them in the back of their mind. So I'm going to share this article. I really like Psychology Today. I think in terms of Psychology Today in a lot of ways is the Stalin of psychological resources, as Stalin is to like theory, insofar as like it's really good at like breaking it down into like digestible chunks if you're not like a massive psych nerd like myself. So we're gonna go through it. Is COVID-19 a traumatic event? Make it bigger once more here. Trauma has many definitions, but trauma has many definitions, but often involves an emotional response to an overwhelming event, a loss of agency, and an altered sense of safety. All three of those are true. All three of those happened. COVID-19 acts as a traumatic stressor in multiple ways and has changed many people's sense of control, safety, and views of the world. Even as people learn to adapt to pandemic life, recovering may mean targeting the world's collective trauma response. Which again, I'm not approaching this from like a mean-spirited or holding any malice. I think we might need to start thinking about how to address this, because I still see a lot of people who they're not doing okay. You shouldn't be inserting COVID into like every facet of every issue, because it shouldn't dominate your brain that hard. 18 months into the pandemic, and we're all dealing with the mental, physical, and emotional repercussions, whatever that may be for you. Now, this article is back in 2021, but I think it still holds true. It's no secret that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on our mental health. Since the start of quarantine in 2020, rates of anxiety, depression, burnout, grief, and beyond have skyrocketed. But the conversation about mental health doesn't stop when coronavirus is a distant memory. What happens mentally after a reality-shattering experience like this one? How does it shape our daily lives or the way we perceive the world around us? More importantly, how can we recover in a way that takes the unprecedented, apologies if that's the 2000th time you've heard that word in 1.5 years, impact of this pandemic into account? One way is to look at COVID-19 not just as a virus, but as a worldwide traumatic event, which I agree with. What is trauma? Little bit of education for people right here. Trauma is many things, but clearly defined is certainly not one of them. We often see trauma associated with veterans, sexual assault survivors, hurricane victims, etc. We also typically see trauma in diagnoses of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. That makes sense, being that experiencing trauma is a key factor in a PTSD diagnosis. Depending on the context you are in, though, you will likely find a different definition of trauma, its causes, and its effects. If you ask the American Psychological Association, APA, they will tell you that trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event like an accident, rape, or natural disaster. However, if you ask trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk, he might say that trauma is an experience that basically leaves people stuck in a state of helplessness and terror. Yeah. Mind and brain become overwhelmed, resulting in a change over how you perceive danger and what you consider relevant and irrelevant to your survival. We see a lot of similarities across definitions, but there is more gray area than not. This requires us to tease apart these definitions if we are going to understand what is happening to countless people across the globe. Excuse me. Essentially, we can think of trauma as our body and mind's reaction to an event that takes away our sense of agency. I didn't pre-read this. And that changes our perception of safety. This reaction can manifest differently depending on the person, the nature of the trauma, whether a trauma happened one time or over many years, and so on. It might manifest as being hypervigilant of your surroundings. Physical symptoms like a racing heart or nausea, reliving the traumatic experience through flashbacks or nightmares, trouble regulating your emotions, or even not feeling any emotions at all. A process that is normally called derealization or dissociation. Okay? Some individuals don't even remember the events due to the brain's attempt at Some individuals don't even remember the events due to the brain's attempt at protecting us from them. With all that being said, where does COVID-19 fit? COVID-19 is a traumatic event. We are already seeing the unique effects of this pandemic on our mental well-being. Early studies are beginning to explore which aspects of the pandemic might create risk for traumatic stress disorders. And while all of us might not be eligible for a diagnosis of PTSD, the experience of COVID-19 has absolutely left its mark. So this is a study from PLOS ONE. Why the COVID-19 pandemic is a traumatic stressor. On one hand, COVID-19 has been a compilation of separate events that are more commonly understood to be traumatic. Millions across the world have lost loved ones to coronavirus. For those that contracted the virus and survives, it could have meant long, terrifying stays in the hospital or impairing symptoms that have lasted beyond ER. Outside of the actual virus, countless people lost their jobs when lockdown struck, including my wife, leading to financial instability, food insecurity, and potentially loss of housing. On the other hand, the pandemic had its own acts in many ways as a stressor. Let's consider the common pieces of trauma: loss of agency, physical and mental overwhelm, altered perception of safety, and of course, a significant psychological response to those things. It's safe to say that COVID-19 checks those boxes. Many of us are feeling a loss of control, not only because of quarantine, but because the course of the pandemic is being driven by the choices of the whole world, not just a few individuals. This leaves uncertainty at just about every turn. The same goes for altered perceptions of safety. It's nearly impossible to feel safe when there is a perpetual risk of illness, loss of loved ones, financial hardship, and so on. As for the mental, emotional response to those things, take a moment and think back to pre-pandemic life. How does that compare to how you view your day-to-day now? This is really important. Because think of how many people, it could be you, and I'm not judging, okay? It's completely understandable. I get you. Think about how many people are just forever changed because of this event. And now think of how many people are still living that event. Whether it's in real life, someone you know, whether it's on social media, there's plenty of examples there. Case in point, that video we just saw, where they're trying to tie masking to supporting Palestine. They're trying to equate wearing PPE to an ongoing genocide. Like they're trying to piggyback COVID to pretty much everything. So again, I approach this with compassion. Recently, a friend said to me, "Can you believe that we used to just get onto a crowded train to get to work, fully packed in like sardines? Someone in the back would cough and I may think, oh, they have a cold. Isn't that wild? The other day I took the train and when someone coughed, I flinched. I was so tense the whole ride after that." And again, some people are still living that in 2024, right now. This is not an uncommon experience. People who have never had an issue being out and about are now anxious and hyper aware of their surroundings in public places. A lot of individuals are fixating on commonly normal physical symptoms. Are these allergies, the flu, and others so worn down after the psychological stress of the last 18 months are finding that they either can't stop crying at every new piece of news or can't be bothered to feel everything at all. Again, dissociation, which is likely a trauma response. Now what? Okay, so I have a bit of a different now what here. Okay? I don't know if it's completely necessary to like reshape the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. That's essentially considered the Bible for mental disorders here in the West, at least. I don't know if we need to do that. But what I do think we need to do as a society is we need to have more mental health resources, and we need to consider these people more than we already do. Because I'm sure you've seen a post. Someone is hysterical about COVID. They're freaking out. They're being a little on the ridiculous side, and there's a bunch of people mocking them and laughing at them. That's not what we need. Okay? That's not what we need to do. I think we need to start considering this as a serious event that caused a lot of collective trauma, and we need to start making it easier to talk about openly in a sense of a problem that needs treatment. We should be suggesting these people see a counselor, but not in like a gaslighty way or whatever, just in a way of saying, look, this broke your brain, I get it. It broke everybody's brain. All of our brains are a little bit broken after that. But you will be a lot less distressed and you will have a more fulfilling life, and more importantly, you will be more able to rise to the challenges that come in the coming months and years if you work through this. And I think the psychological community in turn should also really work on different styles of treatment to kind of like tailor counseling to like pandemic related trauma. And right off the top of my head, mindfulness comes to mind. Dialectical behavior therapy is really great too. That's a combination of mindfulness and CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. But I think we need to make it more acceptable as a whole that this is like a serious mental disorder that a lot of people are going through, and it's an understandable one. It's not like, haha, these people were crazy before and now they're crazy again. They're just being crazy about a different thing. They're just crazy libs. I don't think that's it. I think this is more a serious traumatic event that I think a lot of people should be given the grace and the compassion to actually get treated and take seriously. So that's just food for thought, but I just feel like that's something that hasn't been talked about a lot. The psychological and mental health implications, the lingering psychological implications of the pandemic as a whole. I feel like a lot of people might still be stuck in that era. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it on, Twitter or maybe Facebook, maybe you know someone, again, where they're still like freaking out every day. Like, oh my God, you got a mask. Someone wasn't masking. Oh my God, I can't go out to a restaurant. Everybody's immunocompromised suddenly, I guess. But like, it's like, there's like this level of health anxiety. This is like the WebMD hypochondriacs. Well, in a lot of ways, that's kind of it as well. Because a lot of being a hypochondriac can possibly have its root in trauma as well. These are people who are traumatized. I don't think anybody, listen, I'll put it this way. I don't think anybody wakes up and goes, gee golly, I want to panic every day about a certain thing. I want to feel distress on a daily basis. I don't think anybody signs up for that. I don't think you would opt into that. Because why would you? Life under capitalism is already stressful enough. The world is already in a distressing place. Why add more distress to that? Right? So, that's just something I guess I want people to consider. You know? I've already kind of suggested it to a couple people in my life, and I've definitely had some interactions with people online where I'm kind of like, maybe you should actually like legitimately see a counselor about this. There's this one guy that like he blocked me because I suggested as such, like, please see a counselor. But like, I literally like, he was literally like every day he was doing nothing but posting about COVID, like 8 hours a day, just nothing but COVID. And it was after the rollout, after the lockdowns were lifted, after numbers like went all the way down. He had all these things like, it's not over, guys, like they just stopped testing, like it's already over here, it's everywhere. I'm scared. Way after this kind of should have been in the rear view mirror for people. And I just kind of seriously suggested, like, dude, I'm not even judging, but I think you need to see a counselor. And he decided, you know what? Like, nope. I need to live with my trauma, and I'm going to attack people who try and help me work through the trauma. Which is a common problem with people who are traumatized that, unfortunately, you just need to have a lot of patience about. But I digress. I guess my main point is I think we as a society need to start taking this a little bit more seriously. Because I feel like a lot more people felt like it was okay to seek counseling about this and accept that this was an event that completely understandably affected you in a serious way. I feel like we'd be a lot better for it, and we'd be able to move forward in a more productive light. All right, now I've got one more major segment, but I'm going to grab some more pizza first, so I will be right back. I'm back. I got my pizza. Sorry, guys. I'm so hungry. And honestly, I gotta blame all the Americans. All day on social media, I'm just seeing turkeys getting deep fried and like all the tastiest shit in the world. And I just had ramen noodles for lunch. And I think that's all I've eaten today. So like, my stomach has been doing nothing but growling all fucking day. So for this last segment, I want to present a bit of a hypothesis to everybody about this whole Trump tariff thing. Because I have a suspicion, yo. I got a big suspicion. I've called it before, and I will stand on my bet of $100 to everybody that Donald Trump will introduce digital ID in 4 years. Now, it crossed my mind that I wonder if all this tariff posturing, all this threatening Mexico and Canada, if that might secretly be a ploy to get the rest of the North American sphere I'm wondering if that might be a ploy to get the rest of North America, in addition to America, on board with digital ID as well. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of like massive problems. There's a lot of massive problems when it comes to this whole narrative for the tariffs. Because Trump's essentially saying, I'm threatening to impose these tariffs. I'm threatening to impose these tariffs because of all the illegal immigrants who are pouring in from, I guess, the Canadian border too. Okay. But the two central narratives here are, one, it's causing all of these crazy drugs to come in. And two, it's causing all this crime. Now, the problem with that is both of those are bullshit. And I've got the receipts right here. We're going to go over the receipts. U.S. citizens were 80.2% of crossers with fentanyl at ports of entry from 2019 to 2024. Now, I'm going to get ahead of a little bit of a cope that you might see if you point this out. People will obviously cope with this by saying, well, the data's flawed. They're lying. They're making up the data. We all know the Trump supporter copes. To which I'd say, like, okay, that's fine, but like, where are they getting their data? Like, where's Trump getting his information that leads him to the conclusion that this is a massive problem? Immigrants coming in with drugs and doing crazy crime. Where is he getting that information? Because look, I'm always open to being wrong. I love being wrong. You know why? Because whenever you're proven wrong, you become more powerful. Anytime someone proves you wrong, you should thank that person because they just made you fucking smarter. So I always say that. You know? Okay, I understand that there can be moneyed interest when it comes to studies. I understand there can be moneyed interest when it comes to data. But like, then show me the data that is suggesting otherwise. Because this data right here shows that American citizens are almost entirely behind the fentanyl problem. In addition to that, now we have crime. Undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than the US born citizen rate. We've got a graph right here. So the US born citizen's at the top. The documented immigrant is lower. And the lowest by a chunk is the undocumented immigrant. Now, this is overall offending rates by citizen documentation status 2012 to 2018. Violent crime offending rates by citizen documentation status. As you can see, for undocumented immigrants, this is still significantly lower. And like logically, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? After all, if you're undocumented, you're probably going to take more precautions, not less. I'm just saying. My point is, right off the bat, the two main narratives are easily disprovable to the point where you can find this information in like 10 seconds. And we have some interesting responses to the whole tariff thing too. And this is just a little breakdown of what happens with the tariff.
Is that what you want, Trump? Do you want a tariff war? Because I don't know if the United States comes out on top of that. Mexico has options. Mexico has much more deeper relationships. It is not in an active conflict with parts of the world. It's not provoking China. It can search for different opportunities. Fernandez Noroña, head of the Senate right now, a firebrand, a very powerful speaker, I think puts it really well. What tariffs should we apply on their goods until they stop consuming drugs and illegally exporting to our homeland? I think it's an appropriate question. If you want to be all bluster and threaten tariffs to 100% and all this and that, when are you going to get the situation in your country? What, does organized crime not exist in your country? How do you think the drugs are getting into people's homes and bodies? Just magically? The cartels, they do Amazon-like delivery to people's homes? Of course not. And in fact, there's actually all kinds of collusion, not just with US citizens, which even right-wing institutes like the Cato Institute admit that fentanyl is coming in the hands of US citizens, but the Border Patrol, sheriff's offices, chiefs of police, they have all been implicated in the distribution of drugs inside of the United States. And you're gonna pretend like the problem's here? Because we put the bodies.
Just kind of breakdown of how silly the whole thing is. But I did want to note that this was just funny. This is how the Premier of Ontario in Canada reacted to the news.
To compare us to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard from our friends and closest allies, the United States of America. I want to emphasize.
So Doug Ford's just really offended that he'd be compared to Mexicans, I guess. Leave it to Canadian conservatives to be very similar to American conservatives when it comes to the let's take an opportunity, just like, you know, shoehorn some racism in here. But I digress. Let's break this down. Give me 1 sec here. Just loading shit up here. Okay. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna go old school. Okay. We're gonna go extra old school, and I'm gonna do this the way I used to do back in the day. Okay, so let's break this down. Okay? How will the border be enforced? Because obviously you need a solution for this, right? Maybe we'll zoom in. So, first thing you could do is a wall, which hasn't been done yet. Trump didn't get it done. Enforcing a wall across the Canadian border is like insane as well, right? And also, that's like a long-term solution. That's like something that's not going to be done for a while. And Trump seems to want this done like very quickly. Increase physical security, which I don't know if you guys are aware just how large not only the Mexican but the Canadian-American borders are. There's no shot. Nobody has that much personnel, right? That's kind of out. Or Canada, Mexico, and USA agree to digital ID. And here's my thoughts on this, okay? The selling point would be without a digital ID, you can't access goods or services. So like you can't go to a convenience store, you can't go to a grocery store, you can't go out to a bar, for example, can't access maybe the internet, can't go to a library. Maybe even can't access a restroom. We don't know. But that would be the number one selling point for digital ID in the context of like controlling the illegals. Additionally, it'll track your location and your activity. So again, the sell for this would be to keep the scary illegals out, right? Because again, they would frame it as like, this is good for you, this is for your safety, this is to keep you safe from the scary illegal immigrants who are gonna, do crimes on you and do drugs and get you drugs, and you're gonna get drugged up and blah blah blah. So they wouldn't be able to access goods and services. And again, this is just a hypothesis. I'm very confident that digital ID will be released, but the hypothesis I have is that all of this tariff business might be connected. Okay, so TLDR discourages illegal immigration. They don't have access to everyday life. So, what if, let's propose. What if this were sold as something that's needed for everyday life, and it's so important that you pretty much can't function without it, which would be the selling point for the giant immigration problem? Because what we know now is that the narratives around immigration aren't accurate. They're easily disprovable. So we know these aren't real issues. Fentanyl, illegal immigrants doing the fentanyl, that it's not a real thing. Illegals doing the crimes, not a real thing. Not at least in the context of like what other citizens are doing crime. And it turns out the American-born citizens and the immigrants that have citizenship are doing more crime. So if you're concerned about drugs and you're concerned about crime, you're going to have to find better solutions than the illegal immigration. So, that in mind, what's this really being used for? And my hypothesis is that it is being used to push digital ID. Because there's just too many elements of this whole immigrant thing that are a bit of a red flag. Number one, if you notice with Donald Trump's campaigning, and up here with Pierre Poilievre as well, they're both like, they're tying in the immigration to pretty much every single grievance. Donald Trump's blaming everything from the economy to healthcare. It's all about the immigrants, right? And realistically, none of the reasons why he's saying this is bad really like add up. So you got to ask yourself, like, okay, well, if that's not his actual intent, what is the real intent behind this? What is the meat and potatoes? And I would not be surprised if they tried to deal with the legal immigration problem. He tried his mass deportation thing, maybe tried a bit of it and then kind of backed off, realized it was too hard. I would not be surprised if at the end of this road, what the solution really is digital ID. Wouldn't surprise me, and I might bet on it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, y'all, I have had a absolute blast with everybody tonight, but it's getting around that time that I should probably get my ass to bed. I got a bunch of medical tests in the morning. Had some weird health stuff over the last little while. Stomach issues. They think I might have like H. pylori, and then on top of that, my iron is like through the fucking roof still. So I gotta go get some tests and work on myself. Nothing crazy serious, just, you know. Yeah, I'm okay. Just, you know, I'm an old man now. I got to take care of my health. No, in all seriousness, it's mostly related to like underlying like genetic sort of stuff. So, yeah. Thank you for the healing energy. Yeah, I suffer from terminal handsomeitis. It is sadly fatal. It's the worst case they've ever seen. Anyway, gonna get my ass to bed. Gotta wake up early. Get all a bunch of needles in me and shit. But as always, this is hella fun. Probiotics. I have not missed a probiotic in like 3 months now. I'm on a heavy regimen. I take prebiotics and then probiotics. But yeah, you are in the right, Rick. Probiotics are the way to go. There is so much crazy research coming out there that links like your gut health to like your mental health, and then like your overall health, and also stuff like immunology and like cancer risks. Your gut is super fucking important. So yeah. But anyway, I digress. I had a blast with y'all. Love y'all very much. I will be back next week. I just want to say I've been having so much fun doing Snow Himbo streams so far, and it seems like the numbers are pretty good, and it's pretty fun all in all. So yeah, love you guys, and I will see y'all next week.